students are gone, but you are still here. And we know how you feel because you are done. But you have so much work to do to get ready for tomorrow. Good afternoon, podcast listeners everywhere. Welcome to After the Bell, a Stunt Brothers production. A podcast that gets inside the life of a teacher and provides a wellness guide for being prepared to take on this most challenging of professions. I'm Martin Stuvel.
And I'm Roy Hunt. And we share your pain, having taught a combined 70 years. The guarantee of this podcast is to make you laugh, make you think, and give you at least one little nugget that you can use in the classroom. So get out your marking, organize your supplies, or just pour yourself a coffee.
I want something stronger.
And listen, engage, and interact with After the Bell, a podcast for you, the hard-working, dedicated teacher who wants free lesson plans, free advice, and a free meal.
Okay, Roy, but I'm not paying for anything more than McDonald's. Well, here we are. We have is that a helicopter?
It's either that or a giant drone.
You never know nowadays.
I know.
Wow. Well,
that is a helicopter, though.
It is. Here we are, Roy. Our summer session 5.
Number 5, that's correct.
We're in the heart of Stanley Park. And we're surrounded by everyone on their bikes and families and tourists. And it's such a center for people to come to when they come to Vancouver.
Yes.
And even my dad, when he came to Canada in 1952, always talks about within a day he discovered Stanley Park. And it was always somewhere he brought us as a family. And I have a deep connection.
Well, when we first moved here to BC, we lived on the Nelson Street, which was right near the entrance of Stanley Park. And we were here for about a year.
What a location.
And we ran around the seawall all the time and just went to the fireworks and walked downtown, as in the downtown onto Denman. And there were lots of restaurants. And for people who was our first time here in BC. It was a wonderful way to get to know the city, and the park just became, again, an extension of our living space. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I think everyone does feel connected. That's why there ever is like a storm and trees come down or there's something going on in the park. People actually feel it within them because it's such an important part of being part of the city. Yeah,
yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, here we are. We're deep into the heart of the summer and we're here at the park, and because last week we talked about the lemonade
stands.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm driving down my street, and these two young boys, they're like maybe 10 years old, 11 years old, were waving signs, come this way, pointing in a certain direction. So I thought, well, I was just talking about lemonade stands. I need to go and partake in this celebration of entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
And headed down the street, and it was another 5 or 6, maybe grade 5, 6 students, and they were raising money for BC Children's Hospital, and which was lovely that they were doing that, and they were only charging a buck of glass, so the big spender.
We were afraid to charge a quarter because people would say, that's too much.
I know, but the big spender that I am, I gave them $2.
Wow.
Going for charity.
Well, I had the same experience.
And it tasted delicious. So this is our sponsor for today's episode, the Draycott Lemonade Stand.
Okay. Well, I had the same experience. I went to pick up some takeout food that we were having for dinner, and just beside the restaurant that I was going to, there were 6 young people selling lemonade. They all had signs, and they had lemonade. Was in glasses.
Oh, wow. Very environmentally friendly.
No ice, already sitting out in the heat. $2 a glass.
Wow. You want ice? An extra $5.
But they were enthusiastic.
Good on them.
They were, I have no idea what their motivation was, but they were very friendly. And I did buy a glass.
I remember once reading.
$2.
Yeah, but I went. It was somewhere, maybe the States, somewhere, and these kids had set up a lemonade stand, and the city demanded that they have a business license and shut them down.
I've heard of that. About police being asked to show up to people who are running a lemonade stand, who happen to be, probably 10 or 12 years
Right.
old and asking them to shut it down because of complaints.
Outrageous. I mean, obviously, technically, yes, they probably do need that, but it's kind of just a rite of passage of entering adulthood is to open up that lemonade stand once in your life.
Yes.
In fact, I think my daughter, she had never done it, and then did one later on with Gracie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them did it just so they could have that chance to have tried it once in their life, because they felt it within them. That's just something you
Something
want to
you
try
had
out,
to do.
right? Right?
You had to do.
Yeah. But it got me thinking. When we talk about lemonade stand, it's kind of like your first summer job in many ways, right?
Yes.
Other kids might have a paper route and those kind of things, but summer jobs are interesting because they give you a taste of working life,
Yes.
and they also make you go, I don't want to do this
They make you appreciate
my whole life. Yeah.
other things in life.
Yeah. I mean, my summer jobs were all pretty good. Some people have terrible experiences.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? Were your summer jobs, did you have one of those moments where you go, oh, this is horrible? I mean, none of them I want to do for life, but they were all pretty good. I kind of controlled them, I think, because my jobs, I started out, I didn't apply for them. Mm-hmm. In those days, you could put an ad in the paper, help wanted, right? I was making double minimum wage with my $6 an hour because minimum wage was $3. But I would put that ad in. I started in grade 10, and I think about it now. My mom waved me off at the front door as I get into some stranger's car who took me up to Cyprus to have a little cabin. I don't know. Do they still have those cabins up there at Cyprus? Might be a few
I have
left.
no idea.
But there were these grandfather cabins that still leased the land, and I was helping some guy haul wood and chop wood, and
Wow.
15 years old, and I didn't have a cell phone. My mom just said, "Everything gonna be okay?" Yeah, it's fine, Mom. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I come from agricultural area, so there are farmers around who were always looking for extra help bringing in crops. So some of even before, I would say when I was in elementary school, I was picking tomatoes in the fields near our home, and then I would pick tomatoes all day, and I got tired of tomatoes
Yes,
after a while.
yes.
Yeah. And then I would get paid extra to load the tomato baskets onto the wagons, and so that was my first real summer job. Then also for haying, I would do that. And I would clean the cow stalls out, and that's
lovely.
a joy. And then, if you weren't working on the farm, I was also in an area where there were lots of factories. So
Okay.
if you could get a factory job over the summertime,
Probably paid quite well.
Paid well.
Yeah.
So I had a few of those.
Did you get a glimpse of them because they paid well, but kind of hard work, not exactly maybe stimulating work in some ways, if it was more of assembly line kind of work?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share one of my
Okay, yeah.
factory experiences
Okay,
with you.
yeah.
I got a summer job at Canron, and it was Canron is an iron foundry that was in the heart of St. Thomas. It's no longer there anymore, and they basically melted scrap metal to make cast iron products.
Okay.
And if you go through some cities, you'll see on the sewer grates, you'll see the emblem Canron.
Like the manhole covers?
The manhole
or whatever
covers.
we call them now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or person covers.
Person covers, right.
The covers, the street covers.
Right.
And so I was excited because it was a factory job and it was a good wage. Then when I actually saw what I was getting myself into, I started to think twice. First of all, I was given a pair of coveralls, which, it was a dirty job.
Yes.
And then I was given a 3M air helmet. It covered around your neck and over your head.
Wow.
And it had a filter that had to be changed at the end of every shift.
I didn't scare you a little bit? There's the job, and you got to put this helmet on? Wow.
I was told to wear 2 pairs of gloves.
Okay.
And
Like 2 layers.
2 layers.
And they probably were good, strong gloves already.
Good strong gloves.
Okay.
Yes, they were work gloves.
Another reason I might go. I don't know.
And
about
then I
this.
went onto the factory floor.
Okay.
And then on the factory floor, there was this conveyor belt. And at one end of the conveyor belt was this massive hopper, I'm going to say, that would shake these things. And there's dust in the air. You could see it, the silicon dust in the air. But you had your helmet on.
Therefore, the need for the helmet.
For the helmet.
Yes, okay.
And the hopper would open up, and out would come cast iron brake shoes that were used for diesel engine trains to stop the trains.
Wow.
When you picked them up off the conveyor belt, they were hot to the touch, even with 2 gloves on.
Yeah.
And I had a massive grinding wheel in front of me.
What an education. Wow.
And I had to grind the slag off the sides of the brake shoe and then pass them over to the person beside me who would have a little gauge to make sure that the brake shoe would fit into the gauge.
Right.
And used a hammer to adjust it. As you're grinding the brake shoe, which is very heavy, I have no idea the weight, but it was holding something very heavy and grinding it all the way around.
Yes.
Sparks are flying into your face from the grinding wheel. And then handing that over to your partner. It's in the middle of the summer. It's hot in there to begin with.
Right.
After
Humid hot.
Humid hot.
And then it's already hot outside in Ontario.
And
Right.
after 2 weeks of that, and I thought I was in pretty good shape. I'd come from university. I was on the wrestling team. I was working out regularly. I was wiped out. I would fall asleep at dinner time.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh.
Food in your plate of spaghetti. Face in the plate of spaghetti, yeah.
I can't do this anymore. And the interesting thing was when I had a conversation with my dad, I said, this is pretty tough.
He probably went.
And my dad said, yes,
Yeah.
because your grandfather did that job.
Wow.
And my brothers did that job. So my uncles had done that
I
job.
think there's a movie called
So
this.
there was, yes, there was like all of these family members had used Canron as a stepping stone.
And Roy Hunt IV said, I don't want to do this job anymore.
I don't do this. And so just when I thought it was all over, on the beginning of a shift one day, I looked up on the bulletin board and it said, we need a summer inspector. And I go, oh, what a nice job. That would be great. And one of the full-time employees said, you can apply for that job. I said, what? He said, yeah, it's a temporary summer job. So everybody who's working temporary for the summer
Didn't have to worry about
can
seniority.
apply for that. Didn't have to worry about
because your
seniority.
other position was a union position,
Yes.
right? Yeah, okay. Yes.
And I applied for it, and I got the job.
You were now the inspector.
And I was now the inspector. And there were a number of full-time employees who...
How'd they feel about that?
They
weren't too happy.
They weren't
with
too
you, I
happy.
think.
And because one of the inspector's
young
jobs...
whippersnapper?
Yes. One of the inspector's jobs was inspecting their work.
Oh.
And so they pulled some fast ones on me.
I can
where,
imagine.
some of the things had to be ground so that they would balance out.
Okay.
So think of the covers that go over top of a sewer. They have to be balanced well enough so that when you
can't
drive
have that
over a car,
rocking,
you
right?
can't have
Yeah,
it rocking.
right.
And so I went to inspect one person's work and said, oh, don't worry about it. I've been doing this forever. And I said, okay, but this is my job. I need to check it. I'm the inspector.
The old guy didn't do this.
And
You're checking it.
I used the hoist to lift the lid off the top of the casing where the sewer grate was.
Right.
And he had balanced it out with pieces of cardboard to try to pull a quick one on me.
Yeah.
And so I had to ask
had to
him
call
to
him on
redo
it?
that.
Yeah.
I did call him on it.
Wow.
But I had unlimited overtime and probably the most money I ever made in a summer, which was pretty amazing. But it was a dirty, dirty job.
Yeah. Well, my jobs, and they came out of this ad. There are two that actually I stuck with quite a while. One was, it was called Northwest Stoves, and I started out in grade 11 or so. Just they answered my ad in the paper, and really it was to come in on Saturdays and just clean the place. vacuum and sweep and mop and clean the toilets. But then I ended up working a whole full summer, and it was a wood stove place that they would kind of be the warehouse for. But this is the crazy part. Like, it was really good small business, that great people that ran it. But here I am, 18, 19, and I'm driving the forklift around. I think my training existed of 5 minutes of this pedal does this pedal, this is the brake.
Forward, backward.
This is how you turn it on, right? And I'm lifting these very heavy wood stoves up that are up on the pallets, high up in the warehouse. And then the other great job it lasted for about 2 summers, there's an old guy called Barker. Old Barker guy. He's probably born in the turn of the 1900s by this point. He was well into his 80s. He called my ad up and said he wanted an estate manager.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it was up at the top of Longsdale, which now is just a bunch of condos and developments, but he owned the whole area. There was a couple buildings that he rented out there, small little rundown apartments at the back, but I got to clean his pool and paint here and there and do errands for him out to the city, and it was a lot of freedom for a pretty good pay. And it was, he was quite the character. I mean, he'd walk around in his bathrobe, and I think his mind was going a little bit. Sometimes the bathrobe could have been a little tighter.
I don't want to hear it.
There was nothing untoward done, so it was just his.
Well, when you own an estate, you do what you darn well please.
Exactly. But, I could swim in the pool when I wanted. Yep. Right, and I could, take advantage of this freedom, and
that sounds way better than my job.
One time, he gave me this check for $10,000, and he wanted me to drop it off at his office downtown. So he would let me take his car. So I got his car, I put the check, put it on the passenger seat. I'm driving down Keith Road, past where Queen Mary is. Got the music blasting. I'm just
of course you do.
Ooh, living the dream. And then I look over and I watch the check fly through the window, up and into the air. Uh-oh, my heart sank. So I parked, had a good look around. I found it in a bush, and everything was okay. But that's where I temporarily saw my life flash in front of my eyes. But all good jobs. Like, it was just I liked it because maybe it's connected to how I like the gardening too. Gardening was part of it as well, right? So I looked after these grounds and got to be outside, and I didn't have to be in the heat of what you're describing. That sounds horrible, right? But jobs do prepare you for that future, and also give you a sense of earning for the first time in your life. And also, and young people listening to this won't believe it, I could make enough. I did live at home. But I could make enough to pay for my entire university and have a lot of play money when I went to university. I didn't have to pay rent. I was at home, not paying rent or anything, but I could pay my tuition. You couldn't do that now.
No.
Right? Let alone pay for your room and board wherever you're doing, that kind of thing. It was another time. Right?
It's amazing because, again, it's economics, right?
Yeah.
Things seem to be cheaper, even though that the wages seem to be low.
Yeah.
And
but costs were low, much lower, right?
And so the things, buying a car.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the things from the summer jobs that I had, working at Canron. As I said, I ended up working at a place called Northern Telecom.
Yes.
Which was really interesting because Northern Telecom made telephones at the time.
Yes.
And they were the telephones that they were making would be for home devices.
Okay.
And my father worked at that plant. And it was really interesting.
Another one where you had also worked as your dad. Oh, interesting.
But I worked in a section of the plant where they had, I guess they would be capacitors, little things that had to be welded onto the board. So completely different air-conditioned room. And you had soldering guns and you put things together. It was very quiet, not very stressful. And then my father was out on the plant floor. But one of the things I really learned about my father, who was a man of few words, was that everyone who had worked with my father for such a long time, would come up. Says, your dad tells us all about you all the time. Your dad tells us how proud he is of you. And it was one of those things that was so nice because I just had to feel that my dad felt that way.
Yes.
Because he wasn't one to share that.
He probably didn't say that, but to hear that he actually expressed
that. But that all the employees, everyone who knew my father well from that factory would just go on and on about how he talked about me, and I had no idea.
Wow.
So it was an interesting experience. I got an idea to see what my dad did. I don't think my dad loved his job, and that's one of the things that I often reflect about. As a summer job, and you get an experience, you try something out.
You realize he did not love what
and
he was doing.
Not, and he. He worked at that job until he retired, and I knew deep down inside that it was a job that provided for our family. Yeah. But he was not in a happy place, and I can honestly say at this point in my life where I've retired from teaching that I enjoyed my teaching career great.
And same. I'm so grateful for that when you know where your path could have led you to. Mm-hmm. It's so important. Anyone young who's listening to this, really make the choice for yourself about, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? Whatever it is, you need to think about that, because you get to a point where it's too late, right? You have a family, you're making money, you can't just suddenly change careers. It's not easy at all.
It's not easy. It's not impossible.
And that's why I have no problem when young people take their time to discover what it is they want to do. There's no rush, because you're going to be doing this for a long, long time. So make sure it's something you enjoy doing. Yeah. I've been looking at the Facebook page in our Facebook group, and we had Charlene was talking about a summer job that she did. Yeah.
Okay.
She said she did the concession stand at Second Beach, which is not far from where we are right now here at Stanley Park. Her favorite day was when there were long lines of people who were at the beach watching the fireworks, which we just had. Yep. Again, these traditions continue. Someone that day angered my boss, and he shut the whole stand down for the night. I got to go to goes to show that kindness to people in the service industry is so important, right? And that's true. And I think it's working in the service industry, which I have not had to do. I'm always been a little grateful because I see how hard it can be. Yes. Having to deal with customers all day long. Okay. But anything else out there of people's jobs, and maybe we could share some interesting stories?
Well, I'm going to give you a title of what I think is something we can talk about.
Okay.
And that is uninspiring summer jobs that made me want to go back to school.
Oh, okay. Where did you find this?
And I found that on...
Was that the Vice one that we were talking about? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. There we go.
I found it on Vice.
Right? And
so, you have one to start us off with?
I do. So Ethan on that site talks about pizza delivery in the Arizona heat. And there's doing service industry work, but in the Arizona heat, imagine, right? You got the smell of pizza in your... Probably... If you're a student, probably not an air-conditioned car at one time, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, I guess there'd be a plus on that. Because you know how people complain about cold pizza?
It would never be cold, right?
It would never be cold.
We might take 4 hours to deliver this, but it's still going to be hot.
Piping
That's their
hot.
slogan, right? What do you got?
Okay. How about folding clothes all summer at Old Navy? And that's from Jonathan.
Because think about it, right? You know, people go into those places and they rifle through the clothes, and they often get a handful. And
20, 30 items.
Yeah. And then they just dump it, you know?
Try it on. No.
And does your mom work here? No. Or
dump
you
it.
have to, right?
And you have to fold it. And then they go back and get another 20 or 30 items. They're like, oh my gosh, that did never end. Yes.
Well, Tucker... He talks about digging. He talks about digging irrigation trenches with religious fundamentalists. I guess they were preaching to him all day long.
Yes. Wow. It's a shovel of dirt for you.
Yeah.
A shovel of dirt for God.
Praise the Lord.
Okay. How about pumping gas and washing dead bugs off windshields in the hot summers of Ontario?
Oh my gosh, probably coated with bugs.
We got hot, humid summers there. Pumping gas as before people were allowed, I guess, to pump gas, or maybe some stations just only have their own attendant
Right,
to pump the
right.
gas. But I can remember in southwestern Ontario driving through those country roads, grasshoppers, moths, whatever, bugs
Just caking the window,
caked.
right? Yeah.
And then the summer heat just baking them on. And then someone pulls up and you can't even see. And then it's covered with wasps because the wasps are going like,
They're going
there's
dinner,
an appetizer,
right? All this.
And you're pumping gas and you have to fill the tank and get everything off the windshield to make someone happy. and you're in the humid temperatures that Ontario offers.
Not the best
no,
of
thank
jobs,
you.
no. And then Peter talks about constantly deep frying frozen chicken fingers. I guess it was a chicken finger stall or something. Again, working in the service industry, but having to do it over and over again.
Oh, and the
That's all
smell
you're
of
cooking,
grease.
right? And the heat again, right?
And
the
it gets
smell.
right in your pores. And,
Yeah.
Oh, gross. Yeah, I'd go back to school for that one.
Yes, I would too.
Okay. How about this one? This is from Jack, and he worked at a transfer station sorting recyclables.
Oh, imagine the smell.
You could never get that. What do you put up your nose so you don't have to have
know.
that smell?
I mean, you do adapt, right? It's like, like a room where, someone has dirty socks and you walk in their room like a,
No, I don't.
child.
Yes, I
You've
do.
never had a teenager with a smelly room? You're lucky if you haven't.
Okay.
But they don't notice it. But then you walk out, come back in, they go, oh yeah, I guess it does smell pretty bad in here.
Yes.
Jessica talks about slinging meatloaf in 90-degree heat. So there's probably another U.S. example of someone doing food services, but in that hot heat and cooking. Like my dad, who was a trained chef, always talks about, he worked in Stuttgart, and Stuttgart is probably similar as Ontario, that it's very muggy and hot.
Mm-hmm.
So on those hot summer days, outside would be challenging. The kitchen was unbearable, and they did not have fans going. It just sat on you, and he would walk out there often at midnight, and just finally it was starting to cool down, and just the heat and the temperature, it was just too much.
Well, here's something on a cooler note.
Okay.
It's from Brian. Brian served ice cream at a beach concession stand and ended up with tendinitis.
Well, that's amazing, and what a challenge for him. But this is even more, I think, from Spencer. Cleaning locker rooms after wrestling matches.
Oh.
Talk about that smell, right?
Ooh, that smell.
Maybe those inside the locker room didn't notice, but if you have to walk into that, that's not a summer job I want to do.
No. All right. And I have the last one, which
Okay.
I think is going to be pretty interesting. Cleaning at the CNE grounds from Beckett. And the CNE is the Canadian National Exposition.
It's kind of like our P&E, right?
Yeah.
And that, like the P&E here, which happens at the end of the summer, really is connected to a lot of people's minds for first summer jobs. Many people got their first summer jobs during those 2 weeks at the P&E. I think that'd be good to do an episode on that one time.
Yes.
We should think about that. But for now, we'll watch the families walk by, look at the planes flying overhead.
I want to get a hot dog.
I want to get a hot dog. Let's get a hot dog and say, keep on enjoying your summer, and we'll see you next week on one of our summer sessions here at After the Bell.
Okay, let's go.
This podcast is organic, taking shape with each episode. Building resiliency for teachers everywhere.
That sounds great.
And our website is stuntbrothers.ca.
That's stuntbrothers.ca.
We will chat again.
After the bell.